Now, let's talk about the abiotic factors of an ecosystem. Organisms make up the biotic components of ecosystems. The organisms are affected by abiotic factors, for example, temperature and light. These are the non-living components of the ecosystem. In this section, we will look at the effects of different abiotic factors on organisms. Abiotic factors generally include temperature, light, rainfall and humidity, wind speed, water current, salinity, oxygen concentration, and soil properties. First, let's talk about the temperature. The distribution and behavior of organisms are greatly affected by temperature. Temperature affects animals. Homeotherms, such as mammals and birds, can maintain a relatively constant body temperature. Therefore, they can remain active over a wide temperature range. Poikilotherms, such as reptiles, amphibians, and fish, cannot maintain a constant body temperature. They are therefore restricted to areas with a narrow temperature range. Animals living in hot areas may develop organs that provide a large surface area to promote heat loss. Animals living in cold areas, such as seals, penguins, and whales, may have a thick layer of subcutaneous fat which acts as a heat insulator to reduce heat loss. Some animals, reptiles, and amphibians hibernate during the winter. Their metabolic rate slows down to a level sufficient to support vital body functions only. For example, heartbeat. Some animals, such as birds and butterflies, migrate to warm places during the winter. Temperature also affects plants. Some plants can only grow in tropical and subtropical regions. Examples include hibiscus, orchids, sugarcanes, and pineapples. Some plants can withstand cool temperatures. Examples include oak, pine, cotton, and cabbages. Temperature affects flowering. For example, tulip bulbs mature in winter when the temperature is low. The bulbs then develop into flowers in spring. Another abiotic factor is light. Light can affect animals. Light affects the behavior of many animals. Diurnal animals are active during the day and rest at night. On the other hand, nocturnal animals are active at night. They may develop good night vision or other special sensory methods suitable for a dark environment. For example, bats determine the position of obstacles or prey by locating the echoes of their sounds. Light also affects plants. Light intensity affects the rate of photosynthesis. In general, the rate of photosynthesis increases with increasing light intensity. The duration of light in a day, also known as the day length, affects the flowering of plants. Some plants, for example the carnation and chrysanthemum, requires a long period of darkness, more than 12 hours a day, to flower. On the contrary, some plants, for example cotton, rice, and sugar caddies, require a short period of darkness to flower. Rainfall and humidity is also an important abiotic factor. Both rainfall and humidity affects the amount of water available in a habitat. Rainfall and humidity affects animals. Animals living in dry areas, for example deserts, develop various mechanisms to retain or obtain water. For example, kangaroo rats stay in underground holes during the day to minimize the evaporation of water by sweating. They recapture the moisture from their own breath and obtain water from metabolism. On the other hand, plants are also affected by rainfall and humidity. Plants growing in dry areas are called xerophytes. To reduce water loss by transpiration, their leaves may have a thick cuticle or may be modified to form spines. Some xerophytes can store water in their stems. Many xerophytes have a widespread root system, which enables them to absorb as much water as possible. Wind speed is also an abiotic factor, and wind speed affects animals. On rocky shores, strong winds may generate strong waves that can wash organisms away. To avoid this problem, some animals inhabiting rocky shores, for example chitons and limpets, have muscular feet that attach themselves firmly onto the rocks. Some animals have hard shells that protect them from being harmed by strong waves. On the other hand, wind also affects plants. Wind is a medium for pollination of flowers and dispersal of seeds. In windy conditions, the rate of transpiration of plants increases. Another abiotic factor is water current. Strong water currents may wash organisms away from the places they live. Organisms living in streams or along coastal lines may be flattened in shape, so they can hide under rocks and reduce their resistance against water. Fish living in fast-flowing streams may have enlarged broad fins for holding themselves onto the rocks. Salinity is also an abiotic factor. Salinity refers to the concentration of dissolved salts or ions in water. It directly determines the water potential and hence the availability of water and minerals to organisms. Organisms living in mangroves face a wider range of salinity than those living in freshwater habitats or in the sea. These organisms have special adaptations to regulate the water potential of their body cells. For example, certain mangrove plants possess salt glands in their leaves to remove excess salt they have absorbed from the water. Another abiotic factor is oxygen concentration. The concentration of oxygen in aquatic habitats depends on a number of factors. For example, when temperature increases, oxygen concentration decreases. It is because increasing the temperature reduces the solubility of oxygen in water. When water flows more quickly, oxygen concentration increases. It is because splashes increases the contact of oxygen in the air with water. With the presence of organic matter, oxygen concentration decreases. It is because decomposition of organic matter uses oxygen. The concentration of oxygen in soil air depends on the size of the soil particles. In soil with small particles, the air spaces among the particles are small, and the concentration of oxygen in the soil is lower. The soil is easily flooded with water, meaning it becomes waterlogged. Organisms living in habitats of low oxygen concentration shows different adaptations so that they can obtain sufficient oxygen. Oxygen concentration affects animals. Some aquatic insects have a specialized breathing structure that sticks out of the water to obtain oxygen from the air. Oxygen also affects plants. Some mangrove plants have roots that grow above waterlogged soil to obtain oxygen. These are known as aerial roots. There are many lenticels on the roots that allows gas exchange to take place. Soil properties is also another abiotic factor. Soil provides water, minerals, and anchorage for plants. Soil properties affect the type of plants present and hence the type of animals living in the soil. Soil properties include soil pH, soil particle size, and the amount of humus. For soil pH, most plants prefer soil of pH 5.5 to 7. Some plants, for example ferns, prefer soil that is more acidic, pH 4 to 5. Some plants, for example lilac, can tolerate soils of pH 7 to 8. In general, soil of 8.5 or above is too alkaline for plants, while soil of pH 3.5 or below is too acidic for plants. Furthermore, soil particle size is also important. In sand, soil particles are too large and loosely packed. Sand does not hold moisture well and contains little nutrients. In silt, soil particles are smaller and more closely packed than sand. In clay, soil particles are even smaller. Silt and clay can hold moisture better and contain more nutrients than sand. Different types of plants require soil of different composition to grow. Last, the amount of humus. Humus is the major source of nutrients in soil for plant growth. It is formed from the decomposition of organic matter, including dead plants, animal parts, and animal droppings, by microorganisms in soil. Humus can also hold a large amount of moisture and therefore increases the soil's capacity to withstand drought conditions. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the tab to watch the next part of the video series.